Good to see you. I hope you enjoyed the meditation. Or maybe some of you it's not so easy to sit quiet, to sit still and to relax and calm down. But you can absolutely trust in the process and know that the more you do it, the better it gets. Okay, so today we have two questions, one from Ross. My experience from my parents during my childhood and adolescent years was one of physical and mental abuse, manipulation and deceit. As a result, I had no self-belief, was guilt-ridden, had little confidence, and negligible self-esteem. During my life, I managed to grow from that. I have experienced business and other success at a high level and have the trophies, quote-unquote, that come with it. But the enjoyment is short-lived as I subsequently belittle my achievements to myself. Hearing your podcast on love made me realize that I actually have a very poor opinion of myself, and maybe this is why my life feels so empty despite outward appearances to the contrary. What can I do to love and accept myself more and eventually totally? So this is the question. This is a loving thing, this loving business, being kind to yourself and being kind to other people takes a long time. You want to approach this practice with a lot of patience, being ready to do it for a long time. But it's going to be the most enjoyable time that you've ever had. So it's absolutely worthwhile. So you want to also start very simple, not so trying to do too much or too fast, to progress too fast, to have too high expectations. So you start off very, very simple with small things, like, I don't know, get up in the morning and as a first thing to do, find a few things that you like about yourself. A few things that you appreciate about yourself. We all have a few of those things. And if you don't really find some fast enough, make an effort to find some. Take your time to find some. Study yourself during the day. Do a few nice things during the day. Something that you can like in the next morning. Maybe you don't find anything today, then do something nice today, so the next day you have something that you can like about yourself, something nice that you did. Making someone happy, making someone smile, something very small and lovely. Personally, I find that a very good technique to just try with small things, Maybe someone is rude with you and you can stay patient. It's quite good, Maybe you are mindful in that moment and you recognize, like, wow, I've been mindful. That's pretty good. Maybe you don't really want to do any yoga, but it's good for you, and so you kind of do it. You make your yoga session today. And afterwards, so you take some time to appreciate this. You're taking good care of yourself. So you find little things to appreciate about yourself. And you take a little time with that. Like give it a month, where you find something every day, something small, that you like about yourself. So we're creating a new type of habit here. And also each time that you find some stuff that you don't like about yourself, about your past, about your upbringing, your personality, your behaviors, etc., directly counteract it with some things that you actually do like about your past that you do like about your behavior, that you do like about your looks, that you do like about your thoughts, whatever it is, your moods. Small stuff, and at the same time build positivity, build positive action. So for example, by giving, by being patient, by being kind to random people, by helping people when they need some help. Small stuff. It's not really the big things that count. It's more like an accumulation of a lot of small things that counts. The big things, they are also great, but they are rather something that happens rarely, There's an opportunity to do something big rarely, not so often, but there is a whole lot of opportunities to be kind and nice and lovely every day. Maybe you live together with someone that you dislike, you have problems with him or her, Then make an effort to make that person happy. Just get out of your way, think a little bit, what do they like? And just make them happy and see what happens to the mood in the house as a result. Small little ideas. Every day a little bit more, a little bit better. And you'll see that the more you do that, the more you will become skilled at finding things about yourself that are actually lovely. So when I look at myself, and I want to get into that kind of feeling that I get when looking at a little baby cat or a puppy dog, you get this kind of feeling, that's very cute, right? You melt, your heart melts, your heart opens. So when I want to get this kind of same feeling about myself, what do I do, right? That's a good spot to be in, actually, to see just how cute I am. Usually that feels quite odd, like when I say that right now in front of you guys, when I say like, I'm very cute, it feels so weird, But when I say, I'm a failure, that feels totally honest. Doesn't it? It feels, I'm a failure, I'm a wreck, I'm terrible, forget me, just go to some other teacher, you'll be better off, That feels great, it feels like absolutely right, spot on, that's the truth, But when I say, I'm cute, I have qualities, I'm a kind person, that feels so weird, So it's a signal for me that there is some work to be done in that area. And there is some thinking habit that can be created to improve life here, to make it a bit more comfortable, a bit more enjoyable. So how do I do it? How do I get into the state of mind in which I appear cute to myself? Well, for me it works by zooming out. So I zoom out a little bit. I just step back a little bit. I just get out of my body mentally. I just imagine that I'm sitting in this room right now. I zoom out a little bit more. I'm sitting on this island somewhere in Thailand. I'm zooming out a bit more. Somewhere in Asia, there's this little human being that sits there in a room with other little human beings, And I zoom out a bit more. Then I see this planet, this huge blue planet. And somewhere on this huge blue planet, there is this little tiny human being sitting in the room thinking that it is very important. Thinking maybe that I'm a failure or that I'm awesome or whatever it is that I'm thinking about myself. It's happening in this very tiny little room on this blue ball in the middle of space. Not even in the middle of space. Space doesn't even have a center. So I zoom out more, even more, until this blue ball becomes a blue dot. And even more until I see the galaxy. I do this consciously, actually noticing just how incredibly small I am. My body, my thought constructs, how small they are, how tiny they are. how I know actually absolutely nothing. But I do admit that I enjoy the idea that I do know a few things. But it's actually not true. I actually do know nothing. All that I know, all my knowledge, comes from other people that told me stuff that they have been told. That's not a real, deep sort of knowledge, It's just being able to repeat what I've heard before. I don't consider that really necessarily a powerful knowledge. So that's all I've got, I can repeat a few things, like parrots, they can also repeat a few things. So my knowledge, my idea of myself, all of that is kind of something that I've learned after I was born. I wasn't born with my self-image that I have right now. I wasn't born thinking, I'm Tobi, the meditation teacher. That wasn't there. That is all artificial stuff that I've learned later on throughout the course of my life. And now, so I'm holding this temporary self-image, still sitting in this little yellow room on this tiny blue dot somewhere in space. And by getting this kind of distance, and I don't care if my imagination is accurate, scientifically accurate or not, I just know that I can get some distance there, and I know that space is huge. That's enough for me. I know that outer space is just billions of light years. It's just massive. That's enough. It's enough. And I know, wow. Who am I? Me and my problems and my body and all these kind of things. It's actually not really so important. My story, that I keep telling myself, not so important. How many stories like mine are on this world? So many very similar stories. They're just like my story. But I want to be exclusive. I want to be the Tobi guy who is unique and amazing and awesome. My story is really important. Other people's stories, I know somehow they are there, but my story is important to me. Right? And that's what I primarily share with other people. I share my story and I ask their opinion about my story and my problems. But again, zoom out. What with these problems, these stories? And then you see yourself from above, this tiny little human being that walks the earth. In the morning, it gets out of this little box that it calls bed. Then it moves into another room. It kind of wiggles under some water that comes out of some plastic thing. It wiggles there for a little while, and then it puts on some fabric, and it moves about in life, running into other kind of human beings, also very small. And everyone is very busy all the time. We have these kind of streets where we go back and forth, and we go from one building to another building and then back again to the other building, doing basically the same every day. Just a little bit like watching ants, actually. And I'm thinking, what are they doing, these ants down there? Look at this ant, it's just walking around in circles all the time. It's totally confused, how stupid that ant, but then look at human beings who are also walking in circles all the time. Same. Doing the same thing every day. Having the same thoughts every day. We're kind of stuck in our personality, in our views about ourselves. Fortunately, that is something that's changeable. You can change the views that you're holding about yourself. So this is not something that's written in cement. It's something that's very flexible. You can play with this. You can sit down actually and get into this feeling of, I am a God. I have infinite power. Get into this feeling, just play that. Slip into the role, act it out, feeling like a God. Almighty, powerful. a ruler of worlds, of galaxies. You can feel like this actually. If you do this in a meditation session, you can get really into this feeling of being so powerful, like a universal ruler or something like this. And then you can also go the opposite. You can feel like the most worthless person on earth. It's like everybody around you has more qualities than you. You basically are the worst of the worst. Explore a little bit. You can go around and exchange the roles you play, right? Because it's just that. It's just roles that we get habituated to play. It's not really who you are. All that story you mentioned here of your past, my experience from my parents during my childhood and adolescent years was one of physical and mental abuse, manipulation and deceit. This story that we keep telling ourselves is in fact changeable. The story of my life is one of learning and growth. Coming out of great difficulties, I could turn around and grow in kindness and see that it's not only me that grows up with physical and mental abuse, but millions of other people around me suffering from the same. And that gave me this huge motivation to get out of this cycle of thinking, of negativity, and turn it around and help those people who are stuck in that way. Because who could help them better than you? By showing them how to become unstuck of your thoughts. How to let go of these kind of repetitive wordings that run through the mind like a record. So this little short story that Ross is writing down here, we all have a story like this, right? If you would write down like your problem, you outline your life, you all kind of come up with a short bio like this, a short story. You're the director of that. You write it down. And you could write down anything. It could be very positive, it could be very negative. Very hopeful, for example. Or very desperate. So notice that when you're writing your stories or telling your stories to yourself and to other people, what do you tell yourself all the time, all day long? What's your inner talk like? So we start to become mindful of our inner talk. What's going on in our mind? What's the mind talking about all the time? Write it down in your diary. At evening time or lunchtime, check out. So what were you thinking about the whole day today? What was the content of your head like today? And that might be an unpleasant thing at first, but it gives you a huge chance to change it and turn it around slowly. Make it a nice story. By seeing, for example, how lovely you are. Zoom out a little bit. See what a lovely little human being you are amongst other lovely little human beings. Another way of seeing your loveliness is remembering how you were like when you were 5 years old or 4 years old. Were you as serious as you are now? Was life as grave and heavy as it is now for many of us? It's important stuff, It's all very important stuff, is it? And it's not really so important. Again, zoom out again. You see, is it really so important, me and my problems? So slowly getting out of this habit, it will take time and it will take skill. And it is primarily relying on mindfulness, right? So every morning you need to have a very clear intent. I'm going to spend my day today as if it was my last. What am I going to make different today? How am I going to make a difference in my life? You make that as your first practice in the morning, as important as a shower. So how am I going to tackle things differently today? Then go to the mirror, smile at yourself, say good morning. Good morning, Ross. Good morning, Tobi. Smile at yourself until you really start to smile. Look into your own eyes. See this little, tiny human being standing there in front of a mirror. Soon we are going to die. See that clearly, soon I will die. Now I stand here and I have the chance to be awake enough to make a difference. Because that's something that we all can be grateful for. We are awake enough to have interest in making a difference. That's why we are here in this room. That's why people are listening to this podcast. Right? What can I do to love and accept myself more? And a funny thing also is, what can I do? Let go of the doing and let go of the more. Just love and accept. And loving is not doing. It's not a doing. Love is not something that you do. Love is more like a state, a being state. I'm always using the word love. Let's use the proper word, which is metta, kindness, friendliness, goodwill. Giving yourself a warm space in which you are perfectly fine. Do you know sometimes people come, they want to make a picture of you and they say, please, can you be natural? Stand over there. Yes, that's nice. That's very natural. Yes, if someone would tell you, just can you be yourself for a second? It's a confusing message, isn't it? If I ask you, Chris, can you be yourself for a second? Is it weird, right, to say something like this? Because you are yourself, right? You can't help it. It's just the fact that we're not okay with what we see very often, no? We see that I am like this, but I don't like it. So love means simply recognizing I'm like this. And I'm not harassing myself for it. I'm leaving myself alone as I am. It's okay like that. It's okay, you're fine. Just leave yourself alone. Take your hands off. That right there is very kind. It's very, very sweet to do something like that, to leave someone alone, to not harass them with our opinions and judgments and trying to fix them and change the world and change ourselves because we're not good enough and my past is like this and my future should be like that, and we're just not leaving ourselves alone. So leaving yourself alone is kind. It's very, very kind. It's very sweet, You just sit down, and for once in your life you don't have to perform. Nice. For once in your life you don't have to love yourself more. How nice. I don't have to perform. I don't have to achieve. I don't have to be successful in this meditation game. Loving myself more. Instead, I'm just simply leaving myself alone, and wonderful. I'm having the best time of my life. I'm just here and I see there's these feelings, there's those feelings, and it's fine. It's all okay. All those feelings are part of this construct. All these thoughts are also part of this construct, and they're fine. They're all lovely. Tiny little thoughts, tiny little feelings dancing around. It's fine. It's a good news. You don't have to be perfect. Life doesn't have to be perfect. It's good news. It would be very bad news if you try to make it perfect. That's endless stress. So it's in fact what we already do all the time. Try to fix ourselves, try to make ourselves more perfect. I need to love myself more. It's not enough yet. I know I'm doing my best, but Now translate that thing into being yourself. I have to be myself more. I'm not myself enough yet. I need to... You see, you can make an effort, an artificial effort out of anything, really. Even out of breathing. Many people who come to the retreat, the first thing they make is they make an effort out of the most natural thing. They've been doing their entire life. They've been breathing just fine, and they come to the retreat and they start to look at their breath for the first time, and they go like, oh, I'm breathing the wrong way. You see, you can make a problem out of absolutely anything with ease. We do that. Basically, what we're looking at, we make it into a task. It's just unfortunate we're looking that way at ourselves all the time. I'm looking at myself, there's a task. So kindness means not looking in terms of tasks or achievements or whatever, You're just looking at yourself, giving yourself space with a smile. A smile is always good. Smile a lot, and honestly from the heart. So, and then David asks another question here. So he says, I am also aware that I have what seems a natural tendency to want to do any or everything to excess that is pleasurable. Now that sounds interesting here. I, of course, did this for years with alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs. Now, I find myself wanting to substitute other things, food, exercise, reading, surfing the internet, etc. In comparison, much less harmful, but all forms of escape nonetheless. I find moderation difficult. I'm finding food particularly challenging, as unlike other substances I have given up, I must eat. I find this tendency to overindulge in enjoyable things a very common characteristic in 12-step meetings that I attend. People share often about it and chalk it up to just having an addictive personality, quote-unquote. Could you kindly speak to this? Also, or maybe just this first. That's just another example of not leaving yourself alone. Spend time every day leaving yourself alone with all your aspects. And seriously, enjoy your food. Joy is very important. I'm enjoying my meals. I just don't add a story to it that I'm addictive personality and whatnot. I just enjoy my food, period. And I also do seek out delicious food. I do seek out nice restaurants. I like it. What's wrong with joy? As long as it is wholesome joy, we're not harming ourselves and other people, well, enjoy. Life is in fact there to enjoy wholesome activities. Anything that is nice, that is harmless, enjoy it to the fullest. Eating some good food, taking good walks, enjoying exercise, a good conversation, a deep conversation with a friend or something like this. Whatever, watching a movie from time to time, and enjoy yourself. It's very important. Here is the rule, okay? Rule of thumb. If you don't have something better, don't give it up. And we're on the spiritual path, so we are aiming for something better. But you don't want to give up lower joy if you don't have a better alternative. So you start off with your normal everyday life. Enjoy yourself. Have fun, as long as it's harmless. And then, slowly, you introduce more and more meditation. And what happens after a while when you do that? Your meditation becomes more and more joyful, and automatically other stuff falls away. You kind of lose your interest in it. This is not because you're forcing yourself to lead an ascetic lifestyle because now I'm a meditator, I need to get rid of all my movies, and I need to get rid of eating good food, and I should stop enjoying myself because it's addictive. Enjoy yourself. Don't make a fuss about it. Really important. Enjoy yourself. As long as it's harmless, I want to add that. This is important, like enjoying yourself can mean many things for many people. And you want to check before you enjoy yourself, well, is it harmful for other people, right? Is it creating problems for myself either now or later? Is it creating problems for others either now or later? Other than that, forget it. Just enjoy yourself. Lead a nice, happy life. In fact, you want to cultivate happiness. There's nothing as powerful and healing as happiness in itself. So if you find like a little glimpse of happiness every now and then, breathe it big. Let it fill your whole body and every cell. Take a deep breath and allow this little happiness to expand. Fill your whole body with it and your whole mind with it. Enjoy it, indulge in it. And then wish, may all living beings feel happiness. And may I become a source of happiness to myself and others. It's very wholesome, it's very powerful, and very nice. It feels very good. Wherever you're hanging around with, wish them happiness. Wish yourself, if you eat tasty food and you're really enjoying it, connect it with the idea, may all beings enjoy this food. May all beings experience enough to eat. Enjoy this idea. Donate, help people who help feed others, etc. Always connect your joys with something that is good and beneficial also for more people. That will create growth of happiness and joy. Good. Could you kind of speak? Also, when you have time, could you speak more on acceptance, particularly with respect to aging? I'm finding it frustrating. I'm not able to do some of the things I was able to do, running, sports, etc., because of the physical pain with knees and back. Also, I have been preoccupied with looks for as long as I can remember, and am now keenly aware of my changing appearance, hair loss, wrinkles, etc. Yes? It's like this. This body gets old and it dies. And we see this clearly. Yes, this body gets old and it dies. And this body is therefore unable to actually provide you with joy. It never really did. It's your perception of the body that provides you with joy. Joy is arising from the mind. It's not arising from cells. It's not arising from elements. It's not arising from bones. Joy is not coming from bones. Bones are not producing joy. Blood is not producing joy. Fat is not producing joy. Flesh is not producing joy. Cells are not producing it. Hormones are also not producing it. It's our awareness, and it's a very particular type of awareness which induces joy. It's an open acceptance of how things are that creates very deep joy. It's present moment awareness that creates very deep joy. So shift your refuge. The body is not a refuge. It is unreliable, and it is quite a shock for many people to find that out. The Buddha, before he actually went into the forest and started his journey, his spiritual journey, was a young prince with the name Siddhartha. And his catalyst was actually seeing witnessing four things in his life. The first thing he saw was a sick person, an ill person. He never saw an ill person before, and it really shocked him. He asked his driver, what's with this ill person? What's that person? And the driver said, well, that's illness. And Buddha asked, what is illness? What does it mean? What is illness? And the driver explained to him, well, illness is something we all have to go through. Once you're born, then you're also subject to illness. And it shocked him to the bones. Similarly, he encountered a person that was old, also was very confusing, never saw it before. And encountered a person who was dead, even bigger of a shock, They just threw this sleeping body into a fire and he didn't understand why. Big shock, And then finally he saw a monk who was sitting peacefully by the roadside. And all those four created the wish to go onto a spiritual path. Most people, in fact, turn to the inside because of some sort of traumatic experience in their life. Maybe they lost someone they loved very much, or they have depression, or nothing else helps, We turn inwards because of some problem. If we are constantly enjoying ourselves, we would not be on a spiritual path. We have too many toys, too many distractions. We have no time for meditation. Only we turn inwards and we meditate, or we have interest in a spiritual path, if our life points to things that are subject to impermanence, like this body being subject to wrinkles, to old age, not being able to move as you did before, losing the attractive features of a young man, and so forth, all these kind of things that we are all subject to, that we're all in this together. Physical pain, illness, getting old, losing what you love is part of life. And the Buddha actually even recommends to contemplate that daily, often. There are the so-called 5 recollections. Remembering that we get old, remembering that we get ill, remembering that we will die, remembering that we will lose everything that we love. And finally, remembering that we are the owner of our actions and heir to our actions. Now that 5th one here is kind of the way out of the misery. You are the owner of your actions. And your actions, they speak louder than your looks. They're very important. It's your actions that are inspiring to yourself and other people. It's not your looks. Your looks are temporary. They're nothing. It's just a body. Nothing important. Most people, in fact, they are not busy so much looking at other bodies. Most people are very busy with their own body all the time. Or looking at other bodies all the time, Not really so much. We're not really looking at a body, by the way, also, A body is quite a repulsive thing, There's many things about a body that we don't want to look at. Many features of a body that we actually want to avoid. The reason why we change our clothes every morning. Why do you think we need to do that? Reason we need to change our sheets every now and then, why? Reason we need to take a shower, why? Brush teeth, why? What do you do when you close the door and you go to the toilet? Is it pleasurable? Is it stuff you would like to share with other people? Or is it rather things that you want to hide, right? It's stuff that we want to hide. So the body is not really something reliable. And so it's great that David here sees this. I'm finding it frustrating. I'm not able to do some other things. Yes, we're waking up to truth. The body gets old. We have no time to lose. Life is not about the body. Life is about our potential, particularly discovering what the mind has to offer, what's at the core of our mind. Letting go of suffering. So I would here recommend really looking closer. Yes, look at hair loss, look at wrinkles, but look in a different kind of way, with a different attitude, with a different kind of knowledge. Not with, oh, poor me, I'm having hair loss, poor me, I'm having wrinkles. But look and see, the body is like this. It is not reliable, it is not a refuge, and it will die. And the only thing that really counts for us right now, when you know that you will die, that you get older, that you lose everything that means something to you, what's left? What's important then in life? You contemplate that. What's really important in life? What will people remember about you? Will they remember your wrinkles? For sure not. They probably, most people don't even notice your wrinkles at all. I never notice anyone else's wrinkles. Have you ever noticed anyone else's wrinkles? Have you ever looked at another person going, oh, there are wrinkles in his face? Have you ever done that? Honestly? I never had any thought like this, kind of an absurd thought to have. I think most people don't have that thought. But when it comes to ourselves, we are like, oh my God, there are wrinkles. But other people don't care. They never see your wrinkles. Also, they don't see that you're losing hair. It's kind of a normal thing, you know. People lose hair, you know. That's how it goes. So simply notice, there is a preoccupation with looks. Again, bring it into awareness. And let it sit there. Here's the thing about acceptance again. Could you speak more on acceptance? Well, accept the body getting old. Accept that you're preoccupied with looks. Accept that these states arise and pass in the mind. And leave it. Leave it alone. Take your hands off like that. Take your hands off. It's a process, it takes time. You need to do a little bit every day, a little bit more. Introduce wisdom when you're looking into the mirror. Introduce wisdom more and more, whatever you do. Introducing kindness, wisdom, awareness.